welcome back to our channel. In the world of coin collecting, there's a quiet thrill that pulses beneath the surface of everyday life, a silent hope that one day, a casual glance at a coin might reveal something extraordinary. It's the kind of moment that transforms a regular person into a seeker of stories, a hunter of history, and possibly, the discoverer of hidden fortune. Among the sea of ordinary coins minted every year, few hold the ability to captivate, astonish, and reward like the 2003 5-cent coin, a nickel that, at first glance, appears plain, but behind its copper-nickel shell lies a secret worth thousands. The year was 2003. The world was racing into a new era of technology, global transformation, and economic experimentation. In the United States, a sense of calm and uncertainty balanced on a razor's edge. But inside the secure walls of the U.S. Mint, traditions were kept alive. Coins were minted by the millions and distributed across the nation as they had been for generations. And among these, the Jefferson nickel, a coin with roots stretching back to 1938, continued to carry the image of America's third president, Thomas Jefferson, his gaze firm, his legacy stamped into metal. That year, the Philadelphia and Denver mints churned out hundreds of millions of nickels, each bearing the same dignified profile on the obverse and the classic Monticello design on the reverse. But what nobody realized then, not even the skilled artisans or the watchful eyes overseeing quality checks, was that a few of those 2003 nickels were struck differently. Whether due to rare die errors, planchet anomalies, or simply near-perfect strike conditions, these nickels would soon be elevated from everyday pocket change to some of the most sought-after treasures in modern American numismatics. As collectors began diving into rolls and bank bags searching for perfection or peculiarity, whispers started to surface. A small batch of 2003 nickels featured doubling effects, subtle at first glance but undeniable under magnification. Others bore off-center strikes, with Jefferson's profile creeping towards the rim, giving the coin a bold and accidental artistry. And then there were the ultra-high-grade nickels, those struck so cleanly, so crisply, that not even the tiniest blemish marked their surface. These coins weren't just anomalies, they were marvels. A 2003 nickel in uncirculated condition is not inherently rare. But once certified by top grading agencies with designations like MS67 or MS68 full steps, referring to the visible, untouched steps of Monticello on the reverse, the story changes. Coins with full steps are rare because they represent a precision in minting that borders on perfection. And when combined with the highest grade possible, these nickels ascend from collectible to elite. One such 2003 nickel, struck in Philadelphia, earned a grade of MS68 full steps and was eventually auctioned for a staggering $98,000. That was not an isolated incident. In private sales, collectors with deep pockets and deeper passion have paid between $50,000 and $110,000 for rare, flawless specimens of the 2003 5-cent coin. These aren't theoretical numbers, they're real figures for real coins that once jingled in someone's pocket or sat, unnoticed, in a change drawer. The psychology behind this value is as fascinating as the coin itself. For collectors, rarity is only part of the appeal. There's also historical timing. You see, 2003 marked the final year before the U.S. Mint radically changed the design of the nickel. In 2004, to honor the bicentennial of the Lewis and Clark expedition, the Westward Journey nickel series was introduced, changing both the reverse and eventually the obverse design. This means that the 2003 nickel was the last of its kind, the final classic Jefferson nickel before America's 5-cent coin took a new artistic direction. This moment of transition adds emotional and historical weight to the 2003 nickel. It becomes a bookmark in American coin history, a final page before a new chapter began. And as time passes, fewer pristine examples remain in circulation. Most have been used, scratched, and lost to time. But the few that were kept safe, unworn, untouched, are now worth their weight in gold. Collectors remember the story of a North Carolina man who, while sorting through inherited change jars from his grandfather, stumbled upon a roll of 2003 nickels still in mint wrappers. Among them was one coin that glimmered slightly differently. He sent it in for grading, not expecting much. What came back was a jaw-dropping MS68 full steps designation. That coin later sold privately for over $90,000, enough to buy him a new car, pay off some debts, and begin a collection of his own. But beyond the money, there's something else that keeps collectors coming back to the 2003 nickel: mystery. How many more are out there? Could one be resting in a drawer, sitting in a forgotten coin jar, or quietly waiting at the bottom of a cup holder? The search becomes a modern treasure hunt, fueled not by maps and compasses, but by magnifying glasses, coin rolls, and the thrill of the unknown. Even today, years after its mintage, the 2003 nickel remains a favorite target among coin hunters. Some pursue it for its historical context, the end of an era. Others chase the hope of finding one in mint condition, sending it in for grading with fingers crossed. And a lucky few, very few, will uncover a specimen so pristine or so rare in error that it transforms from a 5-cent piece to a 5-figure windfall. That's the beauty of numismatics. It teaches us that value doesn't always shout. Sometimes, it whispers from the edge of familiarity. It invites the curious, rewards the patient, and stuns the lucky. And in the case of the 2003 5-cent coin, it offers a reminder that the next great discovery could be sitting right in your hands. So the next time you're handed change, don't dismiss the nickel. Look closer. Study its date. Inspect the steps of Monticello. Because that ordinary coin just might be the rare 2003 gem that turns your story into legend. The 2022 5-cent coin is one of those silent legends in the making, a coin that holds more than just 5 cents in value. It holds a mystery, a possibility, and for some, a breathtaking reward. The year 2022 might not seem so far behind us, but in the world of numismatics, time doesn't work the way it does for the rest of us. A single year can make all the difference. A few small design shifts, a tiny minting error, or a run of coins struck under rare conditions, these are the things that transform ordinary currency into national treasures. And the 2022 Jefferson nickel, though freshly minted by U.S. Mint standards, has already begun to write its own fascinating chapter in modern coin history. Let's step back for a moment. The Jefferson nickel has been an American staple since 1938, undergoing few major changes over the decades. In 2006, the portrait was updated to a forward-facing view of Jefferson, giving the coin a modernized look while maintaining its heritage. The Monticello design returned to the reverse after a brief redesign period. And since then, every year has brought more Jefferson nickels into circulation, billions of them, but in 2022, something strange started happening. Collectors began noticing that not all 2022 nickels looked the same. Some showed doubling, slight but noticeable. Others had odd strike-through marks, faint die clashes, or even more dramatic minting issues like off-center strikes and improperly aligned dies. In a world where coins are supposed to be perfectly uniform, these imperfections became golden opportunities. Suddenly, everyone wanted to get their hands on 2022 nickels. At first, the attention was quiet. A few posts in collector forums. A couple of low-profile eBay listings. But as grading companies like PCGS and NGC began to receive more 2022 nickels for certification, they realized something remarkable: these coins weren't just mildly interesting. Some were exceptional. A handful were turning up with MS-68 and MS-69 grades, phenomenal levels of condition typically associated with museum-quality pieces. Others came in with designations like full steps, indicating that the Monticello building steps on the reverse were struck so clearly that not a single one was lost to wear or poor striking. That's when prices started to climb. One 2022 nickel, graded MS-69 with full steps, sold at auction for more than $78,000. Another, with a rare die clash error, went for $63,000 in a private sale to a collector who had been searching for a flawless error coin for over a decade. As the buzz grew louder, so did the values. Today, depending on condition, grading, and rarity, top-tier 2022 nickels are commanding between $35,000 and $85,000, an astronomical figure for a coin barely old enough to be called vintage. But how can a coin this recent be worth so much? That's where the magic of numismatics lies. It's not just about age. It's about scarcity, condition, and timing. The fact that collectors are paying 5 figures for a 2022 coin means that something rare is happening, a convergence of perfect strikes, minting anomalies, and growing awareness. As more people discover these special nickels, the search intensifies. And with every passing day, high-grade examples become harder to find. Some of the most coveted 2022 nickels include specimens with full luster, no contact marks, and perfect detail across both obverse and reverse. Errors like off-center strikes, double dies, and die caps only enhance their desirability. There are also rumors of a few unconfirmed varieties with unique planchet compositions, possibly struck on leftover blanks from other denominations. If any of these are authenticated, the value of a single coin could skyrocket even further. Take, for instance, the story of a college student from Illinois who, out of boredom, started hunting through loose change for rare coins. One night, they found a 2022 nickel that looked oddly shiny and flawless. They almost spent it at a campus cafe but decided to set it aside and submit it for grading instead. Weeks later, the results came back, MS 69 full steps. That single coin, plucked from daily change, was soon sold for nearly $70,000, enough to pay off student loans and set aside savings for the future. That's the power of perspective. What some people overlook, others treasure. And what you think is a 5-cent coin today might be a 5-figure miracle tomorrow. The 2022 nickel also represents a moment in American history, a post-pandemic minting year where production methods were strained, materials were fluctuating, and errors were more likely to slip through the cracks. The modern world might expect precision from every machine, but even technology isn't perfect. And in those imperfections, collectors find value, beauty, and storytelling. For those on the hunt, now is the time. The 2022 nickels are still young enough to be found in circulation, tucked away in pockets, rolls, and change jars. They hide in plain sight, waiting to be noticed. But as word spreads and more people search, the chances of discovery shrink. Coins already graded and encapsulated by top grading firms are becoming the new gold standard, especially those with flawless fields, deep strikes, and rare error varieties. So don't underestimate the coins that pass through your hands. Examine them. Look closely at the date. Study the portrait, the steps of Monticello, the edge, the fields. That ordinary-looking nickel just might be a prize waiting to be uncovered. In the end, the 2022 5-cent coin is more than a coin. It's a reminder that wonder still exists in the ordinary. That value isn't always loud or obvious. Sometimes it hides behind a date, a shine, a tiny imperfection that turns heads and opens wallets. And somewhere out there, another one is waiting to be found. Maybe in your pocket. Maybe in your drawer. Maybe in your next handful of change. That story ends today with the 1985 5-cent coin, a Jefferson nickel most people overlook, but one that collectors now hunt with reverence. Let's set the stage. The year was 1985. America was in the throes of cultural evolution. Ronald Reagan was president, the Cold War loomed, and the economy was buzzing with opportunity and uncertainty. Pop culture thrived. Back to the Future wasn't just a movie title, it was the dream of a generation. Amid all that noise, the U.S. Mint continued its steady work, producing coins that would pass through millions of hands. Among them was the humble 5-cent piece featuring Thomas Jefferson, a coin that had become a familiar face in every American pocket since 1938. The 1985 Jefferson nickel was minted in vast numbers, as usual. With over $1 billion struck between the Philadelphia and Denver mints, few gave these coins a second thought. But as the decades wore on, a quiet shift began. Collectors started noticing something strange. Many of the 1985 nickels had not aged well. The dies used that year were overworked, causing poor strikes, mushy details, and worn-looking coins right out of the mint. Finding a perfectly struck 1985 nickel became a real challenge. This is where things started to get interesting. Because scarcity, in the numismatic world, doesn't always mean few were made. Sometimes, it means few were made well. And the 1985 nickel, with its consistent quality issues, became a sleeper hit. Coins that had clear, bold detail, especially on the steps of Monticello, stood out like diamonds in gravel. Graders at PCGS and NGC began seeing more submissions of high-grade 1985 nickels, and every time one came through with an MS 67 or better grade, eyebrows were raised. Something big was happening. Then came the error coins. That's when the floodgates truly opened. Some 1985 nickels showed off-center strikes, die cracks, or doubling on the date and lettering. Others had dramatic strike-throughs or planchet issues. A few were struck on the wrong planchets entirely, possibly blanks intended for dimes or foreign coins. These anomalies, once verified and certified, started commanding serious money on the open market. Auction houses took notice. In one memorable event, a 1985 Jefferson nickel-graded MS-67 with full steps sold for a jaw-dropping $94,000. Another, an MS-68 specimen with a rare die clash and no visible contact marks, changed hands for $112,000 in a private deal between two prominent collectors. These weren't just outliers. They were the start of a trend. Suddenly, high-end 1985 nickels were being listed with price tags previously reserved for much older coins, and now, in today's collector market, the 1985 5-cent coin, if found in pristine condition or with significant errors, can fetch anywhere from $55,000 to $115,000 depending on grade, error type, and provenance. Yes, that same nickel you might have once used for gum or to feed a parking meter could now be the key to a small fortune, but why does this coin matter so much? It's not just about the date. It's about everything surrounding it. The poor quality of mass-produced coins that year means that survivors in gem condition are few and far between. That rarity, combined with the nostalgia of the era and the timelessness of Jefferson's legacy, has elevated the 1985 nickel to elite status among modern-era collectibles. Collectors today aren't just searching for shiny coins, they're searching for stories. And each 1985 nickel with exceptional features tells one. Take the man from Nebraska who stumbled across a roll of 1985 nickels while cleaning out his late grandfather's garage. Buried beneath layers of dust was a coin so sharp, so perfect, he nearly dismissed it as fake. He sent it off for grading. It returned as MS-68 full steps, one of fewer than a dozen known. The coin eventually sold at auction for over $100,000, changing the course of that family's future. Or the young collector from Texas who, as a high school project, began searching through bulk coin bags purchased from a local bank. In one of those bags was a 1985 nickel with an obvious double die on Liberty and In God We Trust. It took her a while to realize what she had. But once certified, that coin netted her over $60,000, more than enough for her entire college tuition. These stories aren't fiction. They are the beating heart of the numismatic world, proof that with a sharp eye and a bit of luck, history and fortune can intersect in your palm. And the 1985 nickel is still out there. Lurking in jars, tucked in drawers, hiding in forgotten rolls or overlooked change boxes. Waiting. To the untrained eye, it's still just 5 cents. But for those who know where to look, who understand the beauty of strong strikes, mint state perfection, or minting anomalies, the 1985 nickel is a modern marvel. Its sharp-edged Monticello, its clean fields, its full steps brilliance, all of it combines into a masterpiece of metal, worthy of far more than its face value. So next time you find yourself with a handful of change, don't be so quick to spend that nickel. Study it. Turn it in the light. Look at the steps. Examine the strike. That plain-looking coin might not be so plain after all, because one day soon, someone else will discover one of these hidden treasures. Someone else will submit it, grade it, and sell it. And when they do, they'll remember that it all started with a moment of curiosity, a little bit of patience, and a coin minted in the quiet heart of 1985, a nickel worth far more than anyone ever expected.